Hey, welcome to DICEteroid. My name is Carlos, and today we're going to be looking at CV. Start by locating and shuffling the early adulthood, middle age, and old age card decks. Once they're shuffled, place them in their corresponding areas on the board. Next, reveal the top 5 cards from the early adulthood deck and place them on the board as follows. Next, locate the life goal deck and deal each player 1 card from this deck. Based on the number of players, you're also going to place some of these goals in the public goal area. If there are only 2 players, only place 1. If there are 3 players, place 2. And if there are 4 players, fill all 3 spots with public goals. Next, locate and shuffle the Childhood Memories deck. In a 4-player game, you're going to deal each player 3 cards from this deck. If it's a 2 or 3-player game, locate the Bicycle card from the Early Childhood deck and set it aside. If it's a 2-player game, add 5 more cards. If it's a 3-player game, add 8 more cards total. Then take the bicycle and the added cards and shuffle this deck. Deal every player 3 cards. Next, you're going to be drafting cards from this early childhood hand. Every player should look at the cards that they received, select one that they would like to keep and place it in their play area, and pass the rest to the player on their left. After drafting a card and passing to the left 2 times, each player should have 3 cards that they selected while drafting. Every player should look at their cards. 1 player will have the bicycle card. The player with the bicycle should reveal it immediately and place it in their play area. This player receives the Player 1 token. The Player 1 or first player token is placed in their area and represents that they'll be the first player throughout the course of the game, even if they were to lose the bicycle card. The objective of the game is to finish with as many victory points as possible. There are 2 ways to obtain victory points. The first are possessions. Possessions like the bike indicate how many victory points they're worth. The bicycle, for instance, will be worth 1 victory point at the end of the game. The second way to obtain victory points is by meeting your personal life goal and the public life goals. You can consult the public life goals to see what you should be going after in order to get victory points, and each player has their own secret objective. In this case, life of the party, for every green and purple card you purchase, you'll gain 2 victory points at the end of the game. Green, orange, and purple cards will give you a bonus at the end of the game based on how many of each you were able to purchase. There's a table here on the bottom right of the board that explains what the bonus is. If you are able to obtain a single purple card, you would gain 1 victory point. However, if you had 3 at the end of the game, you would gain 6 victory points for your purple cards. Additionally, as seen here, for every set of purple and green cards that I obtain with this life goal, I will gain an additional 2 victory points. The 2 additional card types we haven't discussed are jobs and events. Jobs can be obtained and will usually give you a benefit every turn. Event cards can only be played once and will give you a one-time benefit. To make sense of all the symbols that are on these cards, let's go ahead and play 1 turn to see what gameplay is like. First, locate 4 dice and roll them. The symbols on the top of each card indicate the cost. In order to purchase this card, for instance, I would need to spend a relationship symbol and a dollar symbol. Bottoms of cards indicate what benefit you'll receive from that card each turn. For instance, if I were to purchase this card, it would cost 3 medical symbols, but for the rest of the game, every turn, it would be providing me with a medical symbol and a dollar symbol. This would make purchasing cards in future turns much easier. In this case, my objective is to obtain as many sets of green and purple cards as possible, so I'm interested primarily in these 2 cards. As you can see, I can't afford either. I need a relationship symbol and a dollar symbol in order to purchase either of these cards. This is where event cards come in. Let's say that in my hand I have this card, Piggy Bank. I can only play it once. It's a one and done card, but if I decide to spend it, it goes into the discard pile and I gain an additional dollar symbol. Now I can purchase this card by paying the relationship symbol and the dollar symbol that I received from the piggy bank. This card now permanently comes here into my play area. If you can afford it, you can purchase up to 2 cards during your turn, and if you're lucky enough and roll 3 smiley faces, you can purchase any card from the sale area without paying its cost. If you were to roll 3 misfortune symbols, then you permanently lose a card from your play area. It must be discarded. If while rolling you roll a single misfortune, that die is locked. So normally, you would be able to roll the dice, and any die result that you don't like, you can re-roll up to 2 times. However, misfortune symbols can't be re-rolled. At the end of a player's turn, all cards scoot over to the left. Then refill any vacant spaces with cards from the corresponding deck. In this case, there are still cards available from early adulthood, so we would draw from here. At the end of each round, that is to say after every player has had a turn, and it's about to be the turn of the first player again, whichever card is for sale on this orange space must be discarded. Then all cards scoot to the left, and available spaces are refilled. In the event of a 2-player game, the discarding of this card happens after every player's turn. Eventually, a player's turn is going to end, and there won't be enough cards in the corresponding deck to refill the available slots. When this happens, it signals the end of early adulthood. As soon as one deck no longer has any cards to draw from, social assistance begins. Identify if any players have half or less cards in their play area than any other player. In this case, I have 4 cards in my play area, but this player only has 2. That means that they qualify for social assistance. Players that qualify may take any card that is still in the play area for sale and simply add it to their area at no cost to them. If multiple players qualify for social assistance, they will take turns grabbing cards clockwise. Once social assistance is complete, move the cards down to the left and refill the spaces with the new deck. Gameplay continues until there are no more cards left in any of these decks. There are special rules to follow when purchasing cards and adding them to your play area or CV. For instance, if you obtain another card of a color that you already have, you must decide which of the 2 cards is going to be on top. Only one of those cards are going to provide you with benefits, so you have to decide which perk you're most interested in. Once you've decided, place them like so only one benefit is visible, and you'll only be receiving the benefit from the card that is on top of that pile. Some cards will have 2 colors, which means that you can decide which pile to place them on. Once you've decided, the same rules apply. Only one card can remain on top of that pile. Some cards will have a maintenance cost. For instance, a child requires you to pay $1 symbol every turn. If you're unable to meet that maintenance cost, you lose that card. So if during my turn I'm unable to roll even a single dollar symbol, or I don't have any cards that provide me with dollar symbols that I can assign to the child, I would have to discard it from play at the end of my turn. The game comes with several little cardboard tokens that make it easier to remember what benefits each of your cards are providing you every turn. For instance, a job at Dad's company is providing me with $3 symbols and a misfortune every turn, as seen here on the bottom. I can purchase cards using these tokens as though they were sides of dice. At the beginning of your turn, the card should only have as many tokens on it as appear on the bottom. It's not possible to stockpile, so if I don't spend these, it doesn't mean that next turn I have $6 symbols and 2 misfortune symbols. At the end of the game, every player calculates their victory points based on how many cards of a kind they obtained by referencing this little table. They also gain victory points by meeting their personal life goal. and whichever player best completed any one of these public goals gains victory points from it. For instance, successful person, for every 2 possessions, like a bicycle, and job, that person gains 4 victory points. So if one person had, let's say, 4 yellow cards and 2 blue cards, they would gain 8 victory points from this card, and only they would gain victory points from it since they're the ones that best met this objective. In the event of a tie, if 2 players met the objective, then they both gain the victory points. Cards have a wide variety of effects and symbols on them, but these can be referenced easily in the last page of the manual. So with that information, I think you're ready to get started and play CV. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.